Hello, my loves. Welcome to our monthly sex ed live stream. I am really excited about today's topic because you all know I have lived through this in two very different kind of relationship styles, right? One through monogamy. Brutus, hi. Sajid, hi. Playing cargo. Oh my God. I love seeing your names pop on. So this month I wanted to talk about jealousy because I've experienced it in both kinds of relationships. I've experienced jealousy when I've been in monogamous relationships, and I've experienced jealousy inside my non-monogamous relationships, right? And so I really want to talk about this because there's this idea that only if you're in a non-monogamous relationship will you experience jealousy, or there's this idea that jealousy is normal and should just be accepted, right? That is just a demonstration of love, a different demonstration of love. So there's a lot to unpack here because I really, really want your relationships to thrive. I really, really want for you to have the tools to work through hard emotions that come up so you can have the depth and connection that you deserve with your partner or partners. Like, this is ultimately what I want. I want your relationships to feel amazing. I want the communication to be open. I want the closeness to be real. I want the passion to be there. And that's really hard to happen if we're harboring secrets or if we don't have the tools to communicate and we only know how to have a knee-jerk reaction that can actually be quite harmful and create long-term disconnect. Thank you, Plain Cargo. Well worth watching. Okay, first, when it comes to this, I literally have like sticky notes of notes. I'm like a little bit of a nerd when I teach. I get so excited to teach things and I have to be prepared. We have to first admit that there's a spectrum of relationships and that only you know what is the right relationship for you. Only you know if being in a monogamous relationship is the right thing for you. Only you know if being in a non-monogamous relationship is good for you. And only you know if you're meant to be in a polyamorous relationship. Like, there is no one right relationship. There is no one right way to do it, right? It is what is right for you, what feels good to you, what is true for you. So for those of you who don't know, I was in a monogamous marriage for 12 years and was very much convinced that that was the right thing, the beautiful thing, the true thing for me. And it wasn't until about the last 2 years that I really started exploring through reading of books and articles online and making friends in the polyamorous world, where I started learning about non-monogamy and polyamory. And I began to realize, oh, I think I'm that. I don't think I'm monogamous, right? Which was a really scary realization because that kind of alters the way you view yourself, and it definitely alters the way you do relationships. And then when I got divorced, it was like kind of a fresh start and a chance to figure out what actually works for Nicole Mitchell, what works for me. And I had a lot of fun dating a bunch of people at the same time, not being committed to just one person. Like, I definitely needed that. That was really healing for me. I call it my slut era, right, where I was out of my monogamous marriage. I could like have all these experiences I wanted to have for years. It was really healing and really validating. And then I realized, because it was so fun for me, I wasn't ready at that moment in time to be monogamous. Like, I wasn't ready to settle down in a traditional relationship. That didn't feel good to me. So when I eventually met my partner, he expressed interest in me, I was very honest, because this was really important for me, especially after you get divorced. You learn some things about relationships. And for me, one of the things I learned is you have to be radically honest, first with yourself and then in your relationships. So I came to the radical realization for myself that I'm pretty sure I'm non-monogamous, that I'm pretty sure I cannot be in a monogamous marriage and be 100% happy, right? If I commit to a monogamous marriage, I will increase my chances of cheating. Right. I've learned this through my divorce and through dating afterwards and really like diving deep into myself and having so many conversations. So to set myself up for success and to set my future relationships up for success, I had to be radically honest and say, if I just acted like I could do a traditional relationship and say I started dating someone and then my wiring is to be non-monogamous, it would have had to have come out some way. And this is where cheating can happen, not because a partner is a bad partner, but sometimes I think it's because it's how they're wired, not to cheat, but to have more than one relationship. And they either haven't been honest with themselves, or they haven't or aren't able to be honest with their partner. So for me, I did have the privilege, because my relationship ended, that when I started my next relationship, I'm like, I have to be honest about this. So when my partner expressed interest in me, I said, hey, that's awesome. I'm into you too. Here's the thing. I cannot be monogamous. I said, there's way too many experiences I want to have. There's way too much dick and pussy in the world for me to settle down for one. Like, I just have to be truthful from the get-go, right? And so that kind of established our relationship, or at least to structure it from the get-go. But before that conversation could even happen, I had to know. I had to know. What do I want? What works for Nicole Mitchell? What makes me feel alive? What makes me feel in love? What makes me feel appreciated? What makes me feel turned on? And for me, it's variety. For me, it's being able to honor my very sexual self and like being very truthful about like, of course I want to hit that and tap that and tap that and hit that. Like I want to have as many experiences in my lifetime. And before I ever had, for example, my first threesome, which we have a sex ed live stream on threesomes, I remember thinking I have to have live stream. I have to have a threesome before I die. Like I have to have this experience. This is really, really important to me, right? And now I've checked that, scratched that itch, and it was amazing. Now I've had more than one threesome, and I love them. I love them. They are so hot. They are so fun. They really bring me and my partner closer together. But like I had to be willing to speak that into existence. So really, for your relationship to thrive, you have to know what it is that you want as much as you can. I know we're always exploring and learning more about ourselves, but you, as much as you can, what is it that you actually want? Because this is going to greatly affect your dating life. Because if you are really honest with yourself about what it is that you want, my hope is that you will not settle for someone who's not able to be in agreement with that. My hope is that you know exactly what it is that you want in a relationship and a partner, and you only are available for that kind of person, and you don't settle for anything less. Because this is what's going to greatly determine whether your relationship thrives or not. And you are worthy of a relationship that thrives. You are worthy of a relationship that you feel so amazing in, that you feel so passionate about, that you feel so in love with. And I'm the kind of person, when I have experiences with other people that are not with my partner, I fall more in love with my partner. That is how I'm wired, right? So like even the very thing that could trigger someone's insecurity or fear, for me, it actually makes me fall in love with my main partner, right? So I had to be really honest about that. Like these experiences turn me on and drive me crazy. Hi, Brooksy! I did not cheat in my marriage or divorce first. I don't think you can cheat in your divorce, right? Because you're divorced. I had lots of sex with lots of different people though, when I was getting divorced. It was amazing. It was amazing. Hi, Carlos. Hi. So being really honest with yourself so that you can be really honest about the partner you want, so that when you manifest that partner, when you start dating that partner, you can be as truthful as you are able at the beginning of the relationship. Now, I know for a fact that people change. We all evolve and we all change. Relationships change. And so I started my marriage wanting to be monogamous. It's all I knew. I didn't even know. I had never even heard of polyamory. I didn't know anything about that, right? So I started my marriage thinking I was monogamous, wanting to be monogamous, excited to be monogamous. And then further down the road, I realized I'm not, and I actually desire something differently. This happens, right? It happens where we change, and maybe how our relationship started no longer works for us. And the flip side happens. I remember when my partner and I started dating, I was dating a bunch of people. Like I was like, I'm not settling down. I need variety. I need experiences. And then I don't know, several months in, I was like falling really hard for him. And I actually like pulled away from all my other people and really poured into him. He poured into me. And we became seasonally monogamous, right? We became so in love and so connected that we didn't explore for a while. And then after we were a while for like just focusing on each other for quite a while, we both felt this shift of like, okay, we're ready to explore again. Right? So like the structure of your relationship will evolve and it will change. And sometimes because you choose to, sometimes because it does on its own and it's scary. But we have to be honest that change happens and it's okay to happen. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to learn new things about yourself. It's okay to want to try something different. Like I'm at a point in my life, and I think this comes from being divorced, is, you know, when you get married, and this is Nicole's philosophy. This is not a universal truth. This is just Nicole's philosophy and opinion. When I got married, right, it's like till death do us part, right? Traditional wedding vows. Now in my current relationship, and we don't have plans right now to get married, but let's say it doesn't matter. We're just partners. Whether we get married or not, it doesn't really actually matter. Of course, there's a part of me that wants to be like, I want to be with you for the rest of my life. But there's also a very wise part of me that knows I don't know who I'm going to be 10 years from now. He doesn't know who he's going to be 10 years from now. And we don't know what our relationship is going to be 10 years from now. And never do I ever want someone to stay in a relationship with me out of obligation. Never do I ever want to stay in a relationship out of obligation. I want to stay in a relationship because of desire. I want my partner to stay in a relationship because of desire. Like, I want us to mutually desire each other. If at some point he decides he wants something different than what I can offer in this relationship, I want him to be truthful about that. I want him to tell me that. As scary as that is, as hard as that would be, the last thing I want is for anyone to be stuck in a relationship that does not work for them, because I know what that's like. So yes, it'd be heartbreaking to possibly, potentially lose my partner, but I'm already losing my partner if he feels like he cannot thrive in a relationship with me. So is that really a real relationship? Is that really a thriving relationship where my partner feels like he can't get what he needs and desires, but it looks like we have it, like, because we're still technically together, but haven't I already lost him? Right? So now, instead of saying till death do us part, my favorite way of expressing love to him is I can't wait to wake up to tomorrow. I can't wait to have another day with you. I want to be so in the present moment. I want him to know that I'm still choosing him. I still want him today, without making these huge, grandiose promise of I'm going to be with you for the next 50, 60 years of my life. I hope so, but I don't know. So I'm very intentional about my words now, of just like, not, I don't think it makes me less romantic. I think it makes me more romantic because I'm just being truthful. Of like, sure, I can promise what everyone promises, but doesn't necessarily mean anything. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to be with you the rest of my life. It's like, I choose you today. I am crazy about you today. I love the relationship we have today. It's so fucking good. That to me is so hot. Thank you, Brooksy. Damn, dropping wisdom and facts, right? That to me is hot. So you're allowed to change. Like, I don't like there's pressure in society that the definition marker of a healthy relationship, of a good relationship, is how long you stay with a person. That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible, because what if you're miserable? What if you're both miserable, but just because you're in a relationship, it's like, good job, congratulations, that was successful. Is it though? What is successful? That you're in a relationship that you're absolutely miserable in, but you've been together for a really long time and people applaud you. Or you were in a relationship and then you both ended it when it was no longer the right relationship for you and you've moved on. Which one is successful? Which one are you going to thrive in? Right. So when I went through my divorce and I had this realization of like, oh my God, literally society only defines a good relationship by how long you're together. They don't care that I'm dying. They don't care that my partner and I have changed. They don't care that we're miserable. They don't, like, ew. So when I got out of that marriage, I was like, I will never put that pressure on anyone, not even my own partner. If you change, if your desires change, I want us to be honest about that, because I want you to thrive. I'd like you to thrive in a relationship with me, but if you can't thrive in a relationship with me, why would I make you stay? To me, the greatest demonstration of love outside of choosing each other is releasing one another. It takes a deep sense of love for another person to say, oh, I see you aren't thriving here. And as much as I want you to stay, I'd rather you thrive. So may you find what you're looking for so you can thrive. And trusting that if they feel led to leave, also get to find my thriving, whether it's just by myself or it's with someone else or multiple people, right? Yeah. How do you start a hard conversation with your partner when you think it's going to hurt them? Raya, in my experience with empathy, compassion, and honesty. Yeah, for me, I always bring up hard conversations when I'm not triggered. Because when I'm triggered, it is not pretty. I get really emotional. I get defensive. I'm not a fighter. Like, I'm never like rawr. I'm just not a fighter. But I can tell when I'm triggered, things are going to feel more tense. I'm going to be more wanting to be right. When really at the end of the day, I just want to be heard. And so I wait till I'm not in a triggered space and I put some thoughts together. And so I always approach a conversation, especially if it's a partner, like I want to stay with this partner. Because anytime I bring up a hard conversation, I think people's first instinct is, oh, they want to leave me, or they're going to leave me. So I don't ever want anyone in my world to think that if I don't intend that. So if I start a hard conversation, I'll say, hey, love, I adore you. I love us. I want us to last forever. Like, I am obsessed with us. I think we're amazing, absolutely amazing. And I adore the shit out of you. And because I adore the shit out of you, and because I care so much about us, and because I want this to last as long as possible and have us be so happy, I wanted to share something with you. and this is a little scary for me, and this feels very vulnerable, but because I care about us, I care that we can be honest with each other. And something I've been noticing in our relationship is, or something I've been feeling lately is, or something I've been struggling with is, right? So I go in just starting like, hi, Flannel Dan. I go in like, I want to reassure you from the get-go, this is not to attack you. This is not to come against you. There is no possibility of me wanting to leave. That's not the intention at all. The intention is because I love you and care about you so much. I really value having honesty and being able to have a hard conversation. And when I say my hard truth, I always make it about me. I never say, you always do this. You make me feel this way. It's like, I've been feeling this way. I've been struggling with this thing in our relationship. I've been noticing this thing in our relationship, or I've noticed this dynamic. Me. I am taking responsibility for my emotions, right? I am taking responsibility for what I'm feeling. That is not my partner's job or anyone's job. It's no one's job to manage my emotions. That is my job. So when it comes to jealousy, if I feel jealousy, I really believe jealousy is a second emotion. It's not the initial. I think underneath jealousy is a deeper issue, or not issue, a deeper feeling, a different feeling. I think you are insecure, so then you become jealous, or you feel scared, like maybe a past trauma, someone's cheated on you and left you, and now you feel like this might happen again, so you become jealous. But beneath the jealousy is actually this fear of being abandoned, right? So whenever jealousy rears its head, my first question is, what's the deeper feeling here? What's like the real fear here? What's the real issue here? I don't think it's usually jealousy. I think it's something different. And so I dated this man for a while who, the longer I dated him, the more jealous he became. Even though from the beginning I told him the same thing. I'm like, I can't be monogamous. I need the freedom to date other people. He's like, oh, yeah, I totally support that. And then very quickly I learned, those were just words. He didn't actually mean it. And he became really possessive and really jealous. And it was really, it suffocated our relationship. And I knew he wasn't the right guy for me. But he's like, oh, I totally think jealousy just shows you how much I love you. It's totally normal. Like, you just need to learn to deal with it. And I was like, And what I think it really was, I think he was actually insecure. I think he felt insecure that maybe he wasn't enough, that I'd find someone better than him and I would leave him. So to help prevent me from leaving is if I can control her and kind of suffocate her and force her to pull away from her other desires, she'll stay, which actually caused the opposite effect. I left, right? But I don't think his amount of jealousy was because he loved me. I think he actually had insecurity. And instead of dealing with his insecurity, he tried to control me. Right. And so when it comes to relationships, it's not about controlling your partner. It's about communicating with your partner, right? If he could have said, or if he was even open, and he wasn't open at this time, for me to talk to him and say, hey, babe, like, I've noticed the longer we're together, it feels like, or I'm feeling like you become more jealous and a little bit more controlling of me. Could we talk about that? Right. But there was no room for conversation. There was no room for communication. All there was room for him to control me until I finally had to leave. Right. So this is not about controlling your partner. And this is what most people do when they feel jealousy. They freak out. And instead of taking radical responsibility, they project it onto their partner and blame them and shame them and make them the issue, make them the problem. Hi, Anthony, right? And make them like they have to deal with your emotions rather than you deal with your emotions, right? It is not about controlling your partner. It is about communicating with your partner. And so, like, when we feel the feelings of jealousy, I think the first question for you to ask is yourself. If I have jealousy, I'm like, okay, what's the deeper fear here? What's really underneath the jealousy? Because I don't think jealousy is the real reason. There is something deeper going on. Because then when you can get to the core issue, now you can have the right conversation. But if you're only going to talk about jealousy, that's the surface level. And you're only dealing with the symptoms, you're not dealing with the root cause. I want to know the root cause because that's ultimately what's going to cause my relationship to thrive. So if that means I have to hire a therapist to process it with my therapist and not always process and emotionally vomit on my partner, I'm going to hire a therapist. If it's talking about it with my life coach to have someone support me through that, if it's talking to a friend who's also non-monogamous and asking her or his or their experience with non-monogamy, like, how do you deal with this, right? Like, it's my responsibility to get as clear as I can on the deeper issue. So when I bring up to my partner, I'm not like blah, 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 and like just spewing all this shit. For me, it's very important to me to be as concise of a communicator as possible. So instead of vomiting all these 20 things that I have, my feelings about jealousy, it's like, okay, like, I've been thinking about this, I've been sitting on this, and I think one of my biggest things in my what I struggle with most in our relationship It's not about you. It's me. I have this fear that I'm going to become too much for you and you will leave me. And so my defense mechanism could be, and this is a thing, because I'm afraid, and I'm being truthful here, my biggest fear is that I am too much and I will be abandoned at the end of the day. That's literally my biggest fear. So a defense mechanism that Nicole Mitchell could do as a non-monogamous person is I just keep dating and fucking a lot of other people, because just in case my primary relationship doesn't work out, at least I have a bunch of other backup options. That could be a defense mechanism that is guised as I'm just non-monogamous. But really, I'm afraid. And instead of handling it and having hard conversations, I just kind of run for my primary relationship and pour myself into the other relationships. I don't want to be that person. I want to be the person who says, this is my fear, that someday I will be too much for you. Someday you will call it quits. And now I have nobody. That scares me. Right. And so it's like, what is the deeper desire? What's the deeper fear that you have within yourself? Because it's going to completely change the conversation than like, you're always jealous or you make me jealous, or it's like, that's so surfacey and not helpful. If you can get to the deeper issue, that's what's going to make the chances of your relationship thriving much, much, much higher. Yeah, most of the seeking of power is based in insecurity, right? Like, it's so funny because I'm very, very confident most of the time. Very, very confident. I very much know my value and my worth. I really believe I'm a catch, right? I'm still human. I have insecure days and insecure moments, but as a whole, I'm really confident. So my partner will say things on sometimes like, I can't think of a legit example, so I'll make up an example. Let's say he's gonna go have coffee with a female coworker or friend of his. He's like, I'm just having coffee with her. Nothing's gonna happen. I'm like, I know. I know I'm the shit, babe. You'll never find a replacement for me. And he'll just start laughing because I'm kind of serious. Like, even if he went to go have coffee and fuck another woman, I really feel like he could not find another woman like me. And I could be egotistical. I could be absolutely egotistical, but I actually believe that to a degree. It was like you can go and have fun, but like I am so confident in my value and worth. Like, you'll see. You'll see. You can't find somebody like me. Like, there is a level of like that, and that is hot to know. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, what? It's just like, have fun, enjoy your coffee. I know I'm the shit, and I'll see you when you get home. That to me is so magnetic. Then like, well, what are you gonna do, and where are you gonna go, and what time are you gonna be done, and then can you call me as soon as you're like, where like my insecurities running that relationship, and I'm like kind of jealous, and I'm nervous, and I'm making him cater to my nerves of like, you need to call me, you need to text me, you need to reassure me, you need to be public, please tell me, right? Again, take this in context. If you have a history of being cheated on, like that, I think is actually reasonable. I don't think that's an unreasonable response. But I feel like as you work through that, and if you have professional support in your corner, my hope is you get to a point where you don't need to control someone else to validate yourself, but that you are so self-validated and you have such good communication with your partner and the trust has been rebuilt that you know they can go have coffee and you know they're going to come home to you and nothing will have happened. Hi, hello, Betats 21. Hello, my love. Yes, Pilot, this was the guy who wanted me to give up my OF and offered me $500 a month and said, yeah, that's him. I know, you know my story so well. Okay, so let me see. I'm looking at my notes. So we don't control our partner. We communicate with our partner. We do not blame our partner. We don't blame our partner for feeling jealous, and we don't blame our partner who we think are making us jealous. We don't blame. We are gentle with each other. Oh, babe, tell me what makes you jealous. Tell me what's going on inside. I want to hear, because I love you and I care about you and I care about our relationship thriving. So I actually want to know what is causing this. What is the fear? Can we be gentle as we communicate our biggest vulnerabilities instead of like, you're always jealous. You're such a dick. What is wrong with you? I'm not going to cheat on you. That is not going to help you. That is not going to cause your relationship to thrive. That is going to cause your relationship to go down the drain, because emotions are not rational, but emotions are valid. You're allowed to feel whatever the fuck you want. I think how we handle our emotions is a different story, but you're allowed to feel whatever you want. That guy I dated for a while, he's allowed to feel jealous, but he's not allowed to be a dick to me about it, right? You're allowed to feel whatever you want, but then the question is like, how do you handle it? Can you handle it gently? Can you be honest with me, but be kind and be open without blaming or shaming or making someone the problem? Like, can you take responsibility? God, I've noticed I'm getting really, really jealous in this relationship. I don't like that. I don't like how that makes me feel. I don't like the effect it has on a relationship. Hi, Oribe. Right? Can we talk this through? Right? Can we figure out, are we open to getting, third party support? Like, can we be open and honest and gentle with each other? The third thing is we don't walk on eggshells around our partner, but we can reassure, right? We can reassure our partner without walking on eggshells. If you are walking on eggshells in your relationship, you need to see a therapist because no one deserves that. You and your partner do not deserve a relationship where you have to walk on eggshells. That is just a ticking bomb, right? You deserve a relationship where you can be truthful, right? And also reassure. So, for example, you guys know I go on paid dates with gentlemen, and I want to make sure my partner feels so solid that I am so into him. I have no intention of running off with any of these gentlemen. That is not my intention. So I'll just let him know, like the day, like if he knows the day I'm going to go meet someone, I'm just like, I love you, babe. I think you're amazing. I can't wait to see you tonight. Like I am reassuring him and building him up, right? And we've talked through like, what does he need to know to make sure we're okay? And so he's never specifically said, you need to tell me where you are, none of that. I do it anyway because I want to show him I'm kind, I'm thoughtful, and I'm honest. So I'll say, hey, I'm heading to this restaurant and meeting this gentleman at 5:30. Just so you know, I can't wait to see you when I'm done. So I'm not, for us, it's really important. Our relationship, there's no secrets. And every relationship's different. I have friends who are at a don't ask, don't tell. They can do whatever they want. They don't really talk about it with each other. I can't do that. We're in a kind of relationship where we like talk about everything. So me saying, yeah, and for my safety too, totally like, here's where I'm gonna go, and like here's what time, and like, you know what I mean? And like, but I want to reassure him. I remember towards the beginning of our relationship, he was meeting one of a woman from his work for lunch. And what did he, oh, and we were getting ready and he left his phone unlocked on the counter as we were getting ready. And like I just glanced down on it, whatever. And it was him texting with his coworker who's a woman, and I have no problem. I had met her. She's great. I trust them. But later he told me, he's like, did you notice that I left my phone unlocked on the counter for you? And I was like, yeah, I did notice. I didn't think much of it. He goes, I did that on purpose. I wanted to reassure you there was nothing more than literally a work lunch with each other. Right? Like that level of reassurance where he's intentionally just leaving his phone unlocked so I can see the text messages between him and this woman to reassure me without being like, Nicole, don't be insecure. Nicole, don't be. It's just like, here's my phone. And he didn't even tell me. He just left it and I glanced down on it, saw they were talking about work stuff, and I kept getting ready. And later when he told me that, I was like, oh my God, you did that intentionally. Like my heart, like that causes our relationship to thrive. It's not, no, you're never allowed to have lunch with a woman. I'm the only woman you're allowed to have lunch with. It's like, you're a free fucking agent. You literally can do whatever the fuck you want. Like, you are a free person. Even though we're in a relationship, I literally cannot control you. I do not own you. You technically can do whatever the fuck you want. Like, I'm very honest about that. I don't own anyone. And then he's very intentional about being open and honest. I'm very intentional about being open and honest. And this is what allows our relationship to thrive. But if, like, let's say, for example, hi, Kyle. Hi, Edris. Like, let's say, for example, I wanted to be non-monogamous, but I was afraid my partner couldn't handle that truth. And let's say we start out monogamous. I could just sneak out during the day. I mean, he's working during the day and I go and have lunch with these gentlemen who pay me for my time. And maybe I offer them more. Like, that is a disaster waiting to happen, right? Versus, can I have the courage to be really vulnerable and possibly shift the dynamics of a relationship to say, hey, I love us. I'm crazy about us. And I'd love to have a talk about like the structure of our relationship and just share some things I'm feeling. I'm not saying you have to agree right now to let me be non-monogamous. It's like, hey, I'd just like to have a conversation about the structure of our relationship. Like, can we be really gentle the way we communicate so that you have the chance of thriving in your relationship and your partner has a chance to thrive in a relationship? Because I prefer you don't cheat. I prefer there be honesty. I know that's not always the case. I know that's not always possible. I work with a lot of clients in very different relationships. I know there's a lot of gray here, but my preference is, can we have a really scary, hard conversation for the chance of you both thriving in all the ways possible, hopefully together, but if not together, in a relationship that actually serves you. Hi, Ibner. How are you? Let's see. So why does this matter saying that communicating nothing will happen if you're agreed on non-monogamy? I think for a good question, Christoph. I think there's this I don't want to say misconception, but just because you're non-monogamous doesn't mean you don't have insecurities, doesn't mean you don't have moments of jealousy, doesn't mean you're 100% okay with everything at any moment. Like, I want to be above board to make sure we're okay. And we've had seasons where there's been so much going on professionally, personally, where we've had to pull back from non-monogamous experiences because we are so emotionally capped. My bandwidth is completely maxed out. Like, I don't have the bandwidth to even worry about other people's emotions. All I care about right now is me and my partners. So there's seasons where I pull back when there's a lot of shit going on, and there's seasons where things get easy and like I have more space and time bandwidth, and so then I lean and have these other experiences. But that all requires communication, not assumptions. So I find I personally have found, and this is just for me, in my non-monogamous relationship, we have way more honest communication than I've had in any other relationship. Of like, hey, I'm feeling this way, or hey, I'm feeling that way. How do we want to handle this in our relationship? Do we need to pull back and close doors on other experiences? Do we feel open and ready to open the doors to other experiences? Like, where are we at? How are we doing? But in my monogamous relationships, the assumption was we're always doing fine. But I was slowly dying in my marriage. I wasn't doing fine. Even though I looked fine, I acted fine, I even talked fine. If you scroll back and read my old Facebook messages about my ex-husband, you'll think I was in the best marriage of my life, the best relationship of my life, because I had been indoctrinated. The only way you can talk about your husband is as if he is a god that walks this planet. Your job is to shine a spotlight on him and to make him feel like he's the king of the world. So I did that, even though I was slowly dying in my marriage. I was a good wife, but I was a miserable woman, right? And so it finally reached a point of like, do I really want to keep carrying on the caricature of a good wife? Or do I just want to be a free woman who's free to be her truthful self, free to honor her desires, free to admit what it is she needs and demands in a relationship, free to no longer submit to a relationship that no longer serves her? Like, I wanted to be a free woman, right? And so this relationship, this non-monogamous relationship, has been the most honest and truthful, supportive relationship for me. And one is because I've committed to being a very honest and truthful person. I've partnered with someone who's a very honest and truthful person. And so we tend to have really honest and truthful conversations that allow the both of us to thrive in this relationship. Yeah, totally, Imner. Communication is very important. Managing differences between wife and husband is very important. Totally. Like, no matter what kind of relationship with you have, whether you're monogamous or non-monogamous, you're polyamorous, whatever your fucking relationship structure is, my hope is really that you can be honest with each other, right? And set your relationship up in such a way where both of you, or however many of you, can thrive. Because at the end of the day, you're the only one who knows what you need in order for you to thrive. And your partner is the only person at the end of the day who knows what they need in order for them to thrive. So in order for you guys to thrive together, you have to be able to know that about yourselves and then be able to gently communicate that with each other. And then the last thing, I have like these 4 tips, right? We don't control, we communicate. We don't blame, we are gentle with one another. We don't walk on eggshells, we reassure. And the 4th thing I have is we don't use words like, you never communicate, you always make me feel this way, you always do. I try to never use never and always in my sentences with my people in my relationships, both my partner and my friendships. Instead, I go really slow. I'm just like, hey, I'd like to talk about some things I'm feeling. Hey, I'd like to talk about something I'm noticing in our relationship. Hey, and I'm not saying you must decide now, you must change now. It's like, can we just have a conversation? And so one thing about our relationship is very easy to do is like when you experience jealousy, your brain can immediately project on the road like 5 years from now, oh my God, she's gonna be cheating on me with like 100 people. Like, how can I handle that? Ah! And we get so worked up because we are so far down the road in an imaginary situation that is not even real, but our brain thinks is real. And your job is to stay as present in this moment as possible. Yeah, think down the road. It's okay. I think there's wisdom to thinking, okay, how could this work out if we keep moving this direction? But then come back to the present moment. Okay, I'm not there yet. Nicole isn't fucking 500 men a year. Like, okay, we don't need to even worry about the scenario right now because it's not even close to what she's doing. Hi, Edris. She's just going on a couple dates a month with gentlemen who pay her for her time. Okay, how do I feel about that? can I work through that, right? So your job is to stay as present as possible, to not let your brain take you down 5, 10, 20 years on the road with these crazy scenarios that probably won't happen, and stay in this moment where, like, with what is actually happening and being really honest about that situation. Do you think that you would have had a non-monogamous relationship if you both had stumbled on it early in your marriage rather than later on? I don't think my ex-husband is wired. Ah, play cargo. Thank you. Aw, you're amazing. I'm learning a lot, and I wish I discovered you 30 years ago, but then again, we have just been 10. That's amazing. I love you. Oh my God, that is amazing. So I just need to meet you 22 years ago because now I'm 18. Oh, I love this. This is amazing. Um, I personally think my ex-husband is very much wired to be monogamous. Like, he is a monogamous man. So I don't think we would have worked out as a non-monogamous relationship. He's just not wired that way. Um, So you're not sleeping with other people right now, right? Can you talk about how you negotiate that agreement between you? So I do. I sleep with women. Um, how do we have that conversation? So when we first started dating, I was dating a bunch of people. I was fucking a lot of people and him. Like, and he knew about this. I was very honest. And then it was a few months in where I was falling really hard for him. He was falling really hard for me. And I just wanted to focus on him. So I stopped dating all these other people. We kind of went deep with each other for quite a while. After we like closed the doors and only focused on each other, we're like, let's build a solid foundation. Let's like grow deep roots together so that when we open the doors again, like, we are more connected and grounded and ready for that than we currently are. So we closed the doors, really dove deep in our relationship, really grew strong bond and strong roots. And then we both felt around the same time, like, hey, I think we're ready to open a relationship. And this was after we've been together for quite a while. And then, because I really, 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 as a queer woman, I really wanted to have sex with a woman because I'd had sex with one of my trans friends and it was so hot. I'd never had sex with a woman. And that was a really important experience for me. He really wanted that for me. And so then we had that conversation many times, and he had some fear. He's like, what if she has sex with a woman and she finds out she's gay? What if I'm a lesbian? And then I leave him, right? That's a fear. But obviously, while he doesn't want to have his heart broken, he's like, well, I want you to thrive. Like, if you're gay, I want you to be in a gay relationship. I don't want you to be in a straight, you know what I mean? Like, so this again, we were really honest. Like, this would be so sad if it ended. But at the end of the day, we both want each other to thrive. So I had sex with women. My very first sex experience with a woman was in a threesome, which is hilarious, with two other women. And it was amazing. I loved it. And I still loved him, right? Because I'm pansexual. I'm like, it definitely solidified I'm not gay. I'm very pan. I love all genders. I love men, trans, women. I love all the humans. And so then I started having more and more sex with women. He was totally fine with that. And it's mostly for OnlyFans. I've had some that was just for fun, but mostly for OnlyFans. And it was really healing for me as a queer person. It was really hot for us. I'd send him pictures of me and the woman I was with, and he's like dying, right? And we're just honest about it. Lots of conversations of, like, from the get-go. I just told him personally, I'm a very honest person. I sometimes wish I could be a little more discreet and just like, oh, we'll get there later. But like, the first time I met him, I'm like, oh, I'm not monogamous. Like, I'm just like, I just dive into the deep with my people, like, almost to a fault. But that also is really what helped set our relationship up for success, is I never tried to act like I could offer something that I probably couldn't. Has sleeping with other people affected your sex life with your partner? Did it make it better or worse? It makes it better. I have sex with a woman. I come back home like, I am so mushy and in love with my partner. I don't know why. I'm just wired that way. And I know the chances of it going well is by not rushing it. I've seen so many people fuck their relationship because they just move too fast when it comes to non-monogamy or polyamory or, third party experiences. I've even messed up previous relationships where I moved too fast because I do typically move fast. So I've learned, for me, for my desires, for my relationship, is if I am willing to move a little bit slower, it increases the chances of my relationship thriving. So I'm very, very intentional about that. And I just like everything. I think that's why I'm non-monogamous. I'm non-monogamous with food, and I'm non-monogamous with my sex life. Like, I want to try all the things. I want to try all the things. Because at the end of the day, you have to know what it is that you want, what makes you feel alive, because that's what's going to allow you to have a relationship that thrives. Like you just cannot pretend to want something that you don't. Like it's so scary to be radically honest. Like it's so scary. Like when I told my partner at the beginning that I was non-monogamous, yeah, that could have very well mean we never dated because he could have been a monogamous. But isn't that a good thing ultimately? Wouldn't it be terrible if he was actually monogamous and I'm non-monogamous and we started dating and we started falling in love and then we found out we are not sexually compatible? That would be a worse heartbreak to me than from the get-go knowing, oh, this isn't going to work. I personally, as hard as it is because it's actually less hard, I'd rather know from the get-go if like we are setting ourselves up for success or we setting ourselves up for a disaster. If we're setting ourselves up for disaster, like it's not worth it even though you're super hot or we're super attracted to each other, it's not worth it. Like maybe if I was in my 20s and still like, I don't care, but I care. I care about your heart. I care about your happiness. And like, I want you to thrive. And if dating me or doing me is not going to help you thrive, it's actually going to cause more pain, then like, let's not even go down that road, right? I do think jealousy happens. I don't think it has to be the norm. I think you can work through it and have tools to like address it when it comes up. And I don't think jealousy should ever be used that it's a demonstration of love because I don't. I think it's a demonstration of just insecurity or uncertainty or fear or past pain to like work through. And if you and your partner can't work through it, I highly recommend a like amazing relationship therapist or a sex therapist. I just think we can handle jealousy so much better and it would just increase our relationship thriving. Oh, my loves, this is so good. This is so good. I love you, Raya. Sex Ed is always a highlight of my month. Oh, you're so welcome. Happy Sex Ed Day. Communication, tools, so you can have relationships that thrive, a sex life that thrives because you are worthy of a life that feels so fucking good to you. I will see you guys online and in the DMs.